Doctors shocked. The common tea that raises blood sugar levels. There is a daily habit practiced by millions of people around the world that seems harmless, but it is silently harming metabolism. Something that enters the routine as a healthy choice, even recommended by many, but that can be the trigger for the rise of glucose, inflammation, and chronic fatigue. In this episode, a specialist reveals something that even doctors didn't know. A surprising discovery based on recent evidence that changes the way we see something as common as a cup of tea. You will understand why your body feels exhausted even when you eat right. And you will discover what's behind that untimely hunger, poor sleep, and the difficulty in losing weight. This is not an exaggeration. It's science, and it's urgent. So get ready for a direct, revealing, and above all, transformative episode. Because sometimes what seems healthy is what sabotages you the most. So welcome to another episode of HealEssence, where you will discover the common tea that raises blood sugar levels. And more than that, you will receive first-hand fundamental answers for maintaining your health from one of the most respected doctors. Dr. Tanaka, welcome. I confess that I'm really curious about today's topic. Because we always hear about sugar, about the obvious dangers of sweets and sodas. But you are going to reveal something that, honestly, many people can't even imagine. A daily habit, apparently harmless, that could be silently sabotaging the health of millions of people. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. Thank you for the invitation. What impresses me most in medical practice is how simple and routine things can cause huge impacts on health without people realizing it. Many times patients tell me, "But doctor, it's just a tea," and that just a tea may be raising blood glucose levels consistently every single day.
Wow, that's really surprising. Because when we think of something like tea, the image that comes to mind is something light, natural, healthy, and you're saying it's not always like that?
Exactly. We've been trained to believe that everything that looks natural is automatically good. But science has evolved, and today we know that the impact of a food or drink on the body goes far beyond its appearance or origin. It's necessary to understand how it interacts with metabolism, with hormones, with blood sugar levels.
So there is a tea, common, easy to find, that many people drink every day, that may be deregulating metabolism, raising glucose, and people don't even suspect it?
Yes, and the most concerning part is that it's often consumed first thing in the morning, on an empty stomach, when the body is more vulnerable. This provokes a disguised glycemic spike, which ends up triggering a series of reactions in the body, from the false sensation of energy to the crash that follows later.
That feeling of being energized for a while, but then suddenly hit with fatigue, an untimely hunger.
Exactly. That's it. The body responds with a cycle of glucose highs and lows, which not only harms energy levels, but also contributes to weight gain, increased insulin resistance, and of course, the long-term risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
So today's episode is practically a public service. Because if we can identify this disguised villain and replace it with something healthier, the benefits can be huge, right?
Absolutely. Small changes make big differences. Today we're going to talk about this specific tea, but also about how to reevaluate our daily choices, understand what's behind each sip, each habit, and, of course, show alternatives that really help the body work better.
Dr. Tanaka, what you said at the beginning already got me on edge. Because I keep thinking, how many other apparently innocent habits do we have in our daily lives that are sabotaging us without us realizing it? It's scary to think that the most common choices are the ones causing the most silent damage, right?
It's true. And the most curious part is that they're not big excesses. We're not talking about someone who eats fast food every day or drinks 2 liters of soda. I'm talking about subtle things, like those sugar-free cookies that seem harmless, or that boxed juice at breakfast. They are small choices, but repeated every single day, and that's where the danger lies.
So the logic is more or less like this. What we do every day has more impact than what we only do occasionally. And the problem is that these small choices add up, right?
Exactly. Imagine a drop falling in the same place over and over. Over time, it carves even into stone. Metabolism works similarly. When you consume small amounts of foods or drinks that stimulate glucose spikes, This creates a favorable ground for chronic inflammation, hormonal imbalances, and even cellular damage.
And many people are still misled by marketing, right? That pretty packaging with words like light, natural, zero. Does that still deceive people?
Unfortunately, yes. And a lot. There's a huge difference between what is sold as healthy and what is actually healthy for the body. Many times, labels hide the real glycemic impact of a product. A classic example is foods with a high glycemic index that, even without added sugar, cause glucose spikes. The same goes for drinks.
It's funny because we think, oh, but it's just a sip, it's just a cup of tea, and we can't even imagine that it's actually feeding a silent inflammatory process inside the body.
Exactly. The human body is highly sensitive to glucose variations. A simple tea consumed daily with sugar, or even without sugar, but with compounds that increase insulin resistance, can contribute to a state of constant alert in the body, which wears down the immune system, affects sleep, and even mood.
So the real danger isn't in the visible excesses, but in the disguised repetition of bad choices we don't even notice.
That's right. That's why the first step is awareness. Knowing what we're putting into our bodies, understanding the signs it gives us, and making smart adjustments. Small, but consistent. That changes everything.
Dr. Tanaka, I think this is a common doubt for many people. We always hear that sugar is bad, that it's dangerous, but few people really understand why. After all, what's the real problem with having high blood sugar?
That's a great question. Blood sugar, or more precisely glucose, is essential for our survival. The brain uses glucose as its main source of energy. The problem starts when levels stay high for too long or spike very quickly, many times a day. That triggers a cascade of negative effects in the body.
So you're saying that sugar itself isn't the villain, but the excess and the frequency with which it appears in the bloodstream?
Exactly. The body was designed to handle occasional glucose spikes. The problem is that with the modern diet, these spikes are constant. And what happens is that the pancreas needs to produce more and more insulin to deal with it. Over time, the body stops responding well to insulin, and this is called insulin resistance, one of the most dangerous paths toward type 2 diabetes.
And besides diabetes, what else can happen to the body when it lives in this state of high blood glucose?
A lot. Excess glucose in the blood causes silent inflammation, which is the foundation of many chronic diseases, from cardiovascular problems to Alzheimer's. Moreover, too much glucose damages blood vessels, harms circulation, and accelerates cellular aging. Literally, the body ages faster.
So that story about sugar aging the body is an exaggeration?
Not at all. There's a process called glycation, where excess sugar binds to proteins and compromises their function. This affects the skin, internal organs, eyes, brain. It's systemic aging, slow but progressive.
And the most impressive part is that all this can be happening to someone who doesn't even suspect it. Sometimes they have no diagnosis, but they're already suffering the effects of chronic high blood glucose?
Exactly. Many people are in what we call prediabetes and don't even know it. The symptoms are subtle: excessive fatigue, difficulty losing weight, poor sleep, untimely hunger. Signs that are often normalized, but already indicate an imbalance.
So controlling blood sugar isn't just about avoiding diabetes, it's a way to protect the whole body and age better.
Absolutely. It's one of the smartest decisions someone can make. Taking care of glucose means taking care of overall health.
Dr. Tanaka, now that we better understand the dangers of high blood sugar, I think it's worth naming names. Because in practice, what are people eating or drinking daily that most contributes to this problem? What are these disguised villains that go unnoticed?
This is a key part of the conversation. Many people already know that sweets, sodas, and fast food are harmful. But the bigger danger lies in what seems normal or innocent. For example, white bread at breakfast. It's digested quickly and turns into sugar in the blood almost immediately.
Wow, the famous bread and butter. That seems so simple. but behind it comes a real glycemic impact, right?
Exactly. And it's not just the bread. Products like filled cookies, industrialized breakfast cereals, boxed juices, and even flavored yogurts. All of them are examples of foods that carry a lot of hidden sugar or have a high glycemic index, even if the label says no added sugar.
That's a trap, because there's that idea of it's just a yogurt or just a little glass of juice, and in reality, it's an invitation for the body to enter that vicious cycle of glucose and insulin.
That's exactly it. And the most curious thing is that many of these products are consumed as part of a healthy routine. Some people replace soda with fruit juice thinking they're doing something good, when in fact they're injecting a huge load of concentrated fructose into the body without the fibers that would balance that impact.
And there are also the quick snacks, right? Cereal bars, fit snacks, super sweetened granolas, all with a healthy appearance, but full of traps.
No doubt. The industry has learned to use words like natural, light, whole grain strategically. But what really matters is understanding how that food affects your blood sugar, your energy throughout the day, and your satiety. Many times, the fit food makes you hungry again 2 hours later. That's a clear sign something is wrong with the metabolism.
So the secret is to observe your own body, notice the effects after eating, and stop trusting marketing blindly.
Perfect. And more. The more natural and simple the food, the better. Whole fruits with skin, vegetables, seeds, water, teas with medicinal properties. All of that helps the body function better, without shocking blood sugar levels.
Excellent. And this introduction to the everyday villains prepares us for the next point, which I think is even more surprising. The foods and drinks we think are healthy, but may actually be sabotaging everything inside. Dr. Tanaka, we've already talked about the obvious villains and the disguised ones. But now comes the hardest part, those foods and drinks that everyone thinks are good for you, but that in reality may be silently sabotaging your health, right?
Yes, and this is one of the most delicate parts of the conversation, because we are dealing with very old beliefs. Many people believe that certain foods are healthy just because they've always heard that, from the media, from family, even from some professionals. But the most recent science shows that not everything that seems healthy really is.
Give me an example that usually surprises your patients.
A classic example is fruit juice. It looks harmless, doesn't it? But what many people don't know is that when you squeeze a fruit, or worse, several fruits, and discard all the fiber, what's left is basically water with natural sugar in high concentration. The impact of that on blood sugar can be as strong as soda.
Wow! So drinking a glass of orange juice at breakfast could be raising glucose as much as a soda?
In many cases, yes. And the same goes for industrial smoothies, sweetened soy drinks, and even some versions of natural iced tea sold in pretty bottles, but that contain absurd amounts of sweeteners or syrups that raise blood sugar.
So basically, the person is trying to make a better choice, but without realizing it, they're falling into a nutritional trap.
Exactly. And there's also the case of whole wheat bread, for example. Many people replace white bread with whole wheat thinking they solved the problem. But most of the whole wheat breads on the market are made with refined flour mixed with dark coloring to look healthy. The glycemic impact is practically the same.
Wow, this completely changes the way we see our diet. Because we associate whole grain, natural, made from fruit with health, but many times it's just marketing.
That's why the key is understanding and observation. It's not enough to trust the labels. You have to understand how that food or drink acts in your body. If you eat and soon feel sleepy, hungry, or low on energy, it's probably a glucose spike followed by a sharp drop.
That makes total sense. And the scariest thing is that these choices are made automatically every day. You wake up, drink the juice, eat the whole wheat bread, have some tea, and boom, the day already starts with glucose through the roof.
And it's precisely about that morning impact that we're going to talk about now, because it's at that moment of the day that many mistakes are repeated, and the effects build up over time.
Dr. Tanaka, you finished the last point saying that many mistakes happen early in the morning. And that left me with a question. Why does what we eat or drink right after waking up have such a big impact on our body? Isn't it just another meal like any other?
That's a common question, and the answer surprises a lot of people. The first meal of the day, whether it's a traditional breakfast or something lighter, happens at a time when the body is especially sensitive. After hours of overnight fasting, hormone levels are adjusted to absorb nutrients efficiently. That means any mistake at this moment can trigger a domino effect in metabolism.
So if we start the day with something that raises glucose too much, the body already enters a deregulated cycle early on?
Exactly. And this cycle reflects on mood, hunger, energy, and even mental clarity. For example, many people wake up and drink a tea sweetened with sugar, or even with artificial sweetener, thinking it's light. But the body interprets that as a quick stimulus and responds with an insulin spike. That generates a rise in glucose, followed by a sharp drop. The result? 2 hours later, hunger, fatigue, and sugar cravings.
It's that cycle we feel but don't understand. You wake up feeling energetic, but soon after you feel a crash. And you blame the night's sleep, stress, but deep down, it was what you put into your body early in the morning.
Perfect. The human body is an extremely intelligent machine, but also very reactive. What you give it in the morning defines how it will react throughout the day. That includes everything from work performance to willingness to exercise, clarity of thought, mood.
And that accumulated effect day after day can lead to weight gain, insulin resistance, and even prediabetes?
Yes, and more. It affects gut health, nighttime sleep quality, and the body's ability to recover. That's why I say the way we start the day is almost a thermometer of our metabolic health. And unfortunately, many morning teas, especially those consumed with sugar or that contain caffeine and stimulating compounds, end up sabotaging that balance.
So, understanding the morning impact is almost like taking control of the whole day. And knowing that a simple tea could be compromising all that is at least alarming.
It is. And the most interesting thing is that this impact isn't restricted to blood sugar. It also affects the liver, sleep, and our ability to regenerate. And that's what we're going to talk about next.
Dr. Tanaka, this story about the tea that so many people drink in the morning is getting more and more intriguing. And now you've brought another layer to the conversation, how this habit can also affect sleep and the liver. That's something few people associate directly, right?
Absolutely. Most people have no idea that what you consume in the morning can affect how you sleep at night. And the tea we're talking about, which we'll soon reveal, has a specific action that interferes both with liver function and with the regulation of sleep cycles.
Wow, so we're talking about a chain reaction that starts in the morning, messes with metabolism, and only shows its consequence at bedtime?
Exactly. Let's start with the liver. It's one of the organs most affected by excess glucose and by stimulants. Many people drink this tea believing it helps activate the body, when in fact it overloads the liver, especially if consumed on an empty stomach or in large amounts.
And how does that relate to sleep? Because at first glance, it seems like one thing has nothing to do with the other.
The relationship is deep. The liver is one of the main organs responsible for nighttime hormone regulation, including melatonin production, which is the sleep hormone. When it's inflamed or overloaded, that cycle gets deregulated. On top of that, the excess caffeine or stimulating compounds present in some teas can keep circulating in the body for hours, interfering with falling asleep and with the quality of deep sleep.
So that insomnia many people feel, or that sensation of waking up tired even after hours in bed, may have started with a cup of tea in the morning?
Precisely. That's what I call the silent and cumulative effect. A habit that seems light, but that throws metabolism off balance, overstimulates, affects the liver, and compromises the entire recovery system of the body. This is especially serious for people over 40, when the body already has more difficulty compensating for imbalances.
And I imagine that also interferes with energy, focus, even mood, right?
No doubt. An inflamed liver and poor quality sleep create the perfect environment for chronic fatigue, anxiety, and even mild depression. The body starts functioning in emergency mode, all the time. And all of this could have started with a simple tea that many people keep drinking thinking it's doing them good.
It's really scary to think how something so ordinary can create such a profound domino effect. But at the same time, it's a relief to know that by identifying this, we can change the course of the story. And I know that in the next chapter comes a part that will surprise a lot of people, the scientific data that even left doctors shocked. Dr. Tanaka, everything you've said so far has already been surprising. But now we've reached the part that, I admit, makes me most curious, the scientific studies that prove all this. Because when science enters the conversation, it takes things to another level, right? That's impressive. We're talking about something that's part of millions of people's routines. And the study measured this under real consumption conditions?
Yes, exactly. Adults with controlled diets were evaluated, and what they found was that the natural caffeine present in some teas, combined with a lack of fiber and consumption on an empty stomach, caused a considerable glycemic spike. And the worst part, that spike wasn't accompanied by satiety, which led people to feel hungry sooner.
So not only does sugar rise, but it also creates that hunger fatigue cycle we talked about earlier?
Perfect. And there's more. A study conducted by the European Journal of Nutrition showed that regular consumption of sweetened black tea, especially with artificial sweeteners, was associated with increased insulin resistance in adults with normal BMI. That means even seemingly healthy people were developing altered metabolic conditions without realizing it.
That's when it gets serious. Because many people think, but I'm thin, I don't have diabetes, I can drink this without a problem. And it's not like that.
Exactly. A healthy metabolism isn't measured only by weight. Many times, a body that looks fit on the outside is going through silent internal inflammation. And these changes start years before a diagnosis of diabetes or liver problems. Science is showing this more and more clearly.
And that's why today's warning is so important. Because if even doctors were surprised by these findings, imagine the general public?
Exactly. The role of science is not only to explain, but to prevent. When a simple tea shows such significant effects on blood sugar and liver function, we need to rethink what we're calling healthy. And fortunately, there are alternatives, and that's what we're going to talk about in the next chapter.
Dr. Tanaka, after everything you've explained, I imagine that many people listening to us must already be thinking, okay, but what can I drink instead of that harmful tea? Because changing a habit is only possible when we have good alternatives, right?
Exactly. And the good news is that there are several natural, accessible, and scientifically backed options that not only avoid raising glucose, but also help regulate it. Some of these alternatives have even been used for centuries in traditional health practices, such as Chinese medicine and Oriental phytotherapy.
Excellent. So let's get to them. Which one would you put at the top of the list?
One of my favorites is green tea. Rich in catechins, antioxidant compounds, it has anti-inflammatory effects and helps improve insulin sensitivity. Studies show that people who consume green tea regularly have lower fasting glucose levels and a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
Interesting. And what about hibiscus tea, which many people associate more with blood pressure? Does it also affect glucose?
Yes, it does. Hibiscus is diuretic, helps reduce insulin resistance, and contributes to regulating metabolism. It also offers a bonus. It improves blood circulation, which is excellent for those with vascular problems related to high sugar.
And what about the famous cinnamon tea? I've always heard it helps control sugar. Is that true, or just another popular myth?
It's not a myth. Cinnamon contains compounds that mimic insulin's action in the body, facilitating glucose entry into the cells and lowering blood sugar levels. You just need to be careful with the amount. A light infusion made with a cinnamon stick is enough, no excess. And of course, never sweeten it with sugar.
So the logic is, replace the tea that sabotages you with one that supports your body. A tea that's a real health ally.
Perfect. And it's worth remembering, these drinks also act on the liver, the intestines, and even on sleep quality. When you consume something that doesn't deregulate glucose, your body can work in harmony. The result comes as more energy, less uncontrolled hunger, and even more mental clarity.
So, anyone listening to us who wants to start changing can do it as soon as tomorrow morning. Swap that problematic tea for green tea, hibiscus, or cinnamon. A simple step, but with a huge impact.
Exactly. Transformation begins with small adjustments. And in the next chapter, I'll finally give the most important warning of this episode. The name of the tea that so many people drink, thinking it's healthy, but that may be sabotaging everything.
Dr. Tanaka, now we've reached that moment everyone has been waiting for since the beginning of the episode. You promised a direct warning, an alert that could change many people's routines. We're talking about a very common tea, right?
Yes. And before I say the name, I want the listener to understand something very important. The danger isn't in the food or drink itself, but in the habit, the frequency, and the context in which it's consumed. Sometimes, it's the way we use something that turns it into a silent villain.
That's interesting. So the problem isn't just the tea itself, but how it's integrated into daily routine.
Exactly. What worries me is that millions of people drink this tea daily, first thing in the morning, often sweetened, on an empty stomach, and believing they're doing something healthy. What actually happens is that this habit contributes to constant glucose spikes, energy crashes, insulin resistance, all in a disguised way.
And the worst part, because it's so common and accepted, nobody suspects. People even recommend it to each other without knowing the risk.
Exactly. And that's why my warning today is direct. There is a tea that most people drink believing it's a health ally, but that can actually harm metabolism, the liver, and sleep quality. And what's even more concerning, it's often sweetened or combined with milk and sugar, which makes its negative effects even stronger.
So it's that classic recipe, right? Looks innocent, traditional, but when we dig deeper, it shows a serious metabolic impact.
Perfect. And this isn't theory, it's clinical practice. I see it every day in my office. Patients who don't understand why they're tired, gaining weight, sleeping poorly. And when we investigate, we discover that their most repeated daily habit is exactly this tea.
So the warning is out. And in the next chapter, we'll finally reveal the name of this tea and explain in detail why it can be so harmful, especially when consumed the wrong way.
It's an essential conversation, because only when we have awareness can we make better choices. And this knowledge can literally change the course of many people's health.
Well, Dr. Tanaka, the time has come. You promised to reveal the tea that millions of people drink every day, believing it's a healthy choice, but that can actually dangerously raise blood sugar levels. What tea is it?
It's black tea, one of the most consumed in the world, present in many cultures, and often associated with benefits such as focus and alertness. But what few people know is that, when consumed in excess or improperly, it can have significant negative effects on metabolism.
Black tea? Wow, that's really unexpected. I've always heard it was good for the heart, or that it helped you wake up. What makes it a hidden risk?
Let's break it down. First, black tea contains caffeine, in levels similar to coffee. That already puts the body on alert, which in itself wouldn't be a problem if occasional. But what happens is that it's often consumed first thing in the morning, on an empty stomach, and frequently sweetened with sugar or honey. That combination, caffeine plus sugar, creates a significant glycemic spike, even in healthy people.
And that explains the energy boom, followed by that strange fatigue afterward?
Exactly. The body receives a strong, fast stimulus. It produces insulin to balance it. But since insulin acts quickly, sugar drops sharply. Result: early hunger, irritability, lack of focus, and cravings for more carbs. And the worst part is that it becomes a daily cycle.
There's also that even more popular version, black tea with milk and sugar, right? A breakfast classic in many countries.
Yes, and that preparation is even more problematic. Because besides caffeine and sugar, you add fat and lactose, which makes digestion slower and heavier for the liver. And if that's the first food of the day, the impact is even stronger, since the body is fasting and more sensitive to glucose.
So even though black tea has antioxidants, as some people defend, the downsides of common preparation outweigh the benefits?
Correct. The problem is never the food in isolation. It's the context. Black tea can be used in moderation and in specific situations. But the way it's usually consumed turns it into one of the main metabolic saboteurs in daily life.
Incredible. And now that the warning is out, I think the next step is to understand how to put a real change into practice and protect the body from this disguised villain.
Perfect. In the next chapter, we'll finish with clear and simple guidelines to turn this knowledge into action and reap the benefits as soon as possible.
Dr. Tanaka, first of all, I want to thank you deeply for this conversation. It was truly transformative. We started by talking about a simple tea and ended up revealing a chain of silent habits that may be sabotaging the health of millions. Your explanations were clear, direct, and above all, very valuable.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm happy to share this kind of information. Sometimes, it's a small change that becomes the turning point in someone's health. And if today we manage to open someone's eyes, it was already worth it. Taking care of metabolism means taking care of the foundation of health, and that foundation begins every day with simple choices.
Perfect. And I think the most important thing now is that those who listen to us start observing their routine with new eyes. Ask, what am I doing that seems healthy but may actually be harming me? That's a powerful reflection.
Absolutely. And remember, the body gives signals. It speaks. Our mission is to learn to listen. And of course, always seek professional guidance when necessary. Being attentive today is what ensures a future with more energy, balance, and longevity.
Thank you so much once again, Doctor. It was a privilege to have this conversation with you. I hope to welcome you back here soon.
It will be a pleasure. A big hug to everyone who has been with us until now.
And for you on the other side of the screen, hold on because the video isn't over yet. The conversation with Dr. Tanaka ends here, but I still have something very important to show you. Now that you already know what to avoid, I'll show you amazing foods that help naturally lower blood sugar. These are simple options you can start using today, and they have proven effects on metabolism. So stay with me, because what comes next can make all the difference in your health. Shall we turn this game around? Let's do it together. Number 19, green tea. You know that feeling when you discover that something that seemed harmless can actually be a powerful ally? Exactly. After so much surprising information about harmful foods, it's time to talk about an option that can really help: green tea. Many people have heard about this drink's benefits, but few know how useful it can be when it comes to insulin resistance. And no, this isn't just another passing trend. Green tea is one of the most studied beverages in the world when it comes to metabolic health. Its antioxidant compounds, especially catechins, help reduce oxidative stress and inflammation, two factors directly linked to blood sugar imbalance. In addition, it improves insulin sensitivity, which is crucial for anyone trying to avoid the dangers of excess blood sugar. This simple change in drinking habits can make a huge difference. Another incredible point about green tea is that it can act directly on insulin receptors, making the body more efficient at absorbing glucose from the bloodstream. This means less sugar circulating and more energy being used in the right way. And all of this without added calories, without sugar, and with a natural, continuous action in the body. It's like giving the body a gentle push to function better. Have you ever imagined that one daily cup could be such a powerful ally? The truth is that, over time, the effects of green tea accumulate. It helps reduce abdominal fat, which is one of the biggest metabolic villains. And the more abdominal fat you have, the greater your insulin resistance. So, besides regulating blood sugar, green tea also helps with body composition and overall well-being. Of course, we're not talking about miracles. Nobody will balance their glucose just by drinking tea. But as part of a healthy lifestyle, this ancient beverage plays a very relevant role, especially when it replaces other sugar-rich drinks such as sodas or industrialized teas. The secret is consistency. Incorporating green tea into your daily routine, especially between meals, can be transformative. An important tip is to avoid sweetening green tea with sugar or artificial sweeteners. The ideal is to drink it plain to enjoy all the benefits without interference. If the taste seems bitter at first, try combining it with mint leaves or a small piece of fresh ginger. This way, besides making the flavor more pleasant, you add even more anti-inflammatory properties to the drink. And if you have the habit of drinking too much coffee, how about alternating it with green tea throughout the day? It also contains caffeine, but in smaller amounts, which helps maintain energy without causing as much anxiety or affecting sleep quality. In addition, its catechins promote lighter, more balanced digestion, supporting metabolism as a whole. A double benefit: energy and balance. After so many revelations in this video, realizing that something as simple as a cup of green tea can be part of the solution is almost a relief, isn't it? And it shows that taking care of blood sugar doesn't have to mean extreme restriction, but smart choices. We still have much more to discover together. And the next food on the list is one of those wild cards that almost everyone has at home. Number 18, garlic. With every new food on this list, it feels like nature really thought of everything, doesn't it? The case of garlic is impressive. Dr. Tanaka always says that the most powerful remedies are often hidden in the simplest ingredients of our daily lives. And when it comes to controlling blood sugar and improving insulin sensitivity, garlic stands out as a little gem in the kitchen. Underestimated by many, it hides an enormous therapeutic potential. Garlic contains sulfur compounds such as allicin, which have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant action. These elements help the body fight silent inflammations that interfere with insulin function. This means that by using garlic frequently, you're helping your body make better use of the glucose you consume. And more, it also contributes to blood pressure control, another important factor for those who seek metabolic health. It's curious to think that such a basic ingredient can offer so many benefits, but that's exactly what makes it special. Garlic works on several fronts of metabolism. It reduces inflammation, improves circulation, and also contributes to the balance of blood glucose. The combination of these effects strengthens the body as a whole, and the more regular the consumption, the more evident the results. Have you noticed how many traditional diets of long-lived populations include garlic as part of their daily food? That's no coincidence. In cultures where garlic is a constant presence, rates of metabolic diseases tend to be lower. Including this ingredient in sautés, soups, salads, or even sauces is a simple way to add health without effort. And the flavor it brings is unmistakable. On top of that, garlic can be even more powerful when consumed raw or lightly crushed before being cooked. This activates its enzymes and enhances the release of allicin. If a strong taste bothers you, it's worth combining it with olive oil or natural yogurt to soften it. Another idea is to use it in homemade preserves, which keep its properties and make daily consumption easier. But attention, garlic in capsules does not always offer the same benefits as fresh food. The ideal is to always choose the natural version, which preserves the bioactive compounds in their entirety. If you have difficulty digesting raw garlic, start little by little and observe how your body reacts. Often, it's just a matter of adaptation. Your body will thank you for this care. The most interesting thing is that garlic, in addition to helping control glucose, also strengthens the immune system. And we know that people with insulin resistance tend to have more inflammations and infections. Therefore, by including garlic in your diet, you are strengthening not only your metabolism, but also your natural defenses. It's a protection combo in a small dose. Let's agree, after everything we've already seen in this video, it's clear that small habits can generate big results. Garlic is another example of that. An ingredient you already have at home, but maybe weren't taking full advantage of. And if garlic is surprising, just wait until we see the next item on the list. It may be hidden in children's snacks, and it's more powerful than it seems. Number 17, pumpkin seeds. When Dr. Tanaka told me about the power of pumpkin seeds, I must confess I was surprised. After all, who would imagine that something so small, often thrown away, can be so valuable for health? These seeds, discreet but powerful, carry one of the most important minerals for blood sugar balance, magnesium. And believe me, this mineral makes all the difference when it comes to controlling blood sugar. Magnesium acts in more than 300 biochemical reactions in our body, including those that involve insulin. It helps improve the sensitivity of cells to insulin, facilitating the entry of glucose and reducing excess circulating sugar. Many people with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes have low levels of magnesium without even knowing it. And that's where pumpkin seeds come in as a real nutritional reinforcement. Besides magnesium, these seeds also offer good doses of zinc, iron, and healthy fatty acids. All these nutrients have anti-inflammatory effects and help keep the metabolism more stable. This means fewer fluctuations in glucose levels and more energy throughout the day. It's impressive how just a handful a day can represent a significant improvement in overall well-being. Another interesting point is the versatility of these seeds. You can eat them roasted as a quick snack, sprinkle them over salads, or even blend them with fruit in smoothies. There's no excuse not to include them in your routine. Besides being nutritious, they are crunchy and tasty, which makes it easier to keep the habit of eating them. Not to mention that they are naturally sugar-free and extremely rich in fiber. And speaking of fiber, that's another incredible benefit of pumpkin seeds. They help slow down the absorption of glucose in the intestine, preventing blood sugar spikes after meals. This is especially important for those who are trying to keep blood sugar under control naturally. Combined with other fiber-rich foods, these seeds become even more effective. Have you ever thought you could balance your blood sugar with something as simple as adding seeds to your diet? Sometimes the secret is in the details. And the best part is that this is an affordable food, easy to store, and with excellent shelf life. No complications or radical diets. It's about smart choices that add health to every meal. And if you happen to feel hungry right after lunch or dinner, try eating a small portion of these seeds. They promote satiety, thanks to the combination of healthy fats, proteins, and fibers. This prevents the famous raids on the fridge and helps maintain food discipline, which is so important for those who want to control blood sugar. Every step we take toward more conscious eating brings us closer to better health. And pumpkin seeds are one of those simple, but impactful steps. Now, if you thought this was surprising, just wait until you discover what comes next. An ancient ingredient present in the breakfast of millions of people and that can transform your health in ways you can't even imagine. Number 16. Oats. After talking about pumpkin seeds, it's impossible not to think of another champion of metabolic health: oats. And look, Dr. Tanaka often says that if there's a superfood that's accessible and easy to use, it's this one. Oats are full of a special fiber called beta-glucan, and although the name may sound complicated, it has a simple and direct effect, helping regulate the absorption of sugar in the blood. And it does this in a gentle and very effective way. Beta-glucan forms a kind of gel in the intestine, which slows down the digestion of carbohydrates. This prevents those sudden spikes in glucose that occur after meals. This effect prolongs satiety and reduces hunger throughout the day. In other words, you eat less, feel better, and keep your sugar levels more stable. Does it sound like a miracle? It's not. It's science applied to your breakfast plate. In addition, oats are excellent for intestinal health. And anyone following this journey has already understood that a healthy gut means a balanced metabolism. An intestine that works well absorbs nutrients better and prevents silent inflammations that hinder insulin action. With oats, you also feed the good bacteria in your gut, creating a healthier environment from the inside out. And if you think oats are boring, it's time to rethink that idea. They go well with fruit, natural yogurt, plant-based milk, and even savory preparations like pancakes and fritters. You can vary a lot without falling into monotony. A simple serving at breakfast already changes the whole metabolic scenario of the day. And the best part, they are practical and quick to prepare. You don't need to be a chef to include oats in your routine. Another strong point of oats is that they help reduce bad cholesterol, LDL. This is also important for those who want to control blood sugar, since both factors, high glucose and bad cholesterol, often go hand in hand. With oats, you achieve two goals with one food: improving blood sugar and protecting the heart. Who wouldn't want such an ally in everyday life? Oats also have a good amount of plant-based proteins, which contribute to the feeling of satiety and balance of meal. When you eat a food that combines fiber and protein, digestion happens in a more controlled way. This reduces the chances of slips throughout the day. It's easier to stay focused when your body is well-nourished from the first meal. Now, an important detail: prefer rolled oats or oat bran, which are less processed and retain most of the fiber. Instant versions tend to have fewer benefits and sometimes even added sugar. Pay attention to labels and choose the most natural oats possible. This ensures that you're really getting the most out of this superfood. We've reached a point in the video where foods are no longer just ingredients. They've become tools. Tools to live better with more energy and fewer risks. And if oats fulfill this role excellently, just wait until you meet the fruit in the next part. It's sweet, popular, and surprisingly capable of helping blood sugar control, like few others. Number 15. Apple. After the conversation about oats, I found myself reflecting on how the simplest solutions are often the most effective. And the apple is a perfect example of that. Dr. Tanaka often says that this fruit, so common in our daily lives, is like medicine in disguise. And when it comes to blood sugar control, it stands out mainly because of a fiber called pectin. If you still underestimate the power of the apple, get ready to change your mind. Pectin is a soluble fiber that acts directly on blood glucose regulation. It slows down the digestion and absorption of carbohydrates, preventing the dreaded sugar spikes right after meals. This means that the energy from the apple is released more slowly and steadily. In addition, this fiber feeds the good bacteria in the intestine, which contributes to a more balanced and efficient metabolism. And it doesn't stop there. The apple peel, often discarded, is rich in antioxidants like quercetin. This compound has anti-inflammatory properties that help protect the pancreas cells, the very ones that produce insulin. When these cells are under less stress, they function better, favoring blood sugar balance. Eating apples with the peel is like giving your body a gift. Another detail worth highlighting is the low glycemic index of the apple. This means that it raises blood sugar in a very moderate way, unlike many other fruits. That's why it's excellent to eat as a snack between meals or even as dessert. It satisfies, nourishes, and keeps the body functioning steadily without causing abrupt fluctuations in energy levels. And you know what's best? Apples are practical. You can carry one in your bag, keep it in your desk drawer at work, eat it anywhere. It doesn't require preparation, doesn't need immediate refrigeration, and still has a pleasant taste that pleases all ages. It's an example of how nature gives us ready-made solutions, just waiting to be used wisely. It's also worth remembering that apples, being rich in water and fiber, contribute to satiety. This helps avoid snacking outside mealtime, which are big villains in blood sugar control. When we are satisfied, we make better food decisions throughout the day. A simple apple can prevent the consumption of an ultra-processed snack or a dessert full of sugar. Oh, and if you like variety, try baking the apple with a little cinnamon. Besides being delicious, this combination further enhances the beneficial effects on blood sugar. Or use apple pieces in salads, mix them with natural yogurt, or add them to oatmeal porridge. The possibilities are many, and all maintain the benefits. With the apple, we realize that not everything needs to be complicated or expensive to be effective. Sometimes what's missing is just information. And now that you know how much this fruit can help, why not include it more often in your routine? But attention! The next item on the list is also powerful and often shows up in healthy snacks, and maybe you're not yet taking full advantage of its potential. Number 14. Walnuts. Right after exploring the benefits of the apple, it's impossible not to think about the combinations that make it even more powerful. And one of the smartest ones is with walnuts. Dr. Tanaka once told me that walnuts are like a protective shield for the metabolism. Small, discreet, and extremely nutritious, they provide good fats that act directly on glycemic control. And we're not talking about just any kind of fat. Walnuts are rich in polyunsaturated fatty acids, such as the famous plant-based omega-3. These compounds help reduce chronic inflammation that affects the action of insulin in the body. Less inflammation means more sensitivity to insulin, which translates into glucose being absorbed more efficiently. It's as if the body starts to better understand what to do with the sugar circulating. Another highlight of walnuts is their effect on satiety. Just a small portion is enough to reduce appetite and prevent overeating throughout the day. This feeling of fullness helps keep blood sugar stable, as it prevents spikes from the consumption of ultra-processed foods. When the body is nourished with good fats and plant-based proteins, it works with more intelligence and balance. Have you noticed how a handful of walnuts can completely change the quality of a snack? Instead of a filled cookie or sugary bar, walnuts offer clean, long-lasting energy packed with nutrients. They are excellent for those who need mental focus, stamina, and stability throughout the day. And all this with minimal impact on glucose. But pay attention, even though they're healthy, walnuts are calorie-dense. The idea is not to eat an entire jar at once, but to incorporate small amounts into your daily routine. A portion of about 30 grams is enough to ensure the benefits. And you can combine them with fruits, salads, oatmeal, natural yogurt, or even savory dishes. It's versatility and health at the highest level. Another important point is the presence of antioxidants in walnuts, especially polyphenol. They fight free radicals that damage cells, including those that play a role in insulin production and response. This means protection against premature aging and greater efficiency of the body in glycemic control. It's a deep effect that goes beyond basic nutrition. Walnuts also help lower bad cholesterol and improve good cholesterol, which strengthens cardiovascular health. And as we've mentioned in other chapters, everything is connected. Heart, circulation, metabolism, and blood sugar walk together. By taking care of one, you protect the other. And walnuts, in this case, act as a link between these systems. Getting to this point, it's clear that the answer to many of the body's imbalances lies in conscious eating. Walnuts are another piece of this metabolic health puzzle. But what comes next in our journey might surprise you. It's something that looks like party food, but it can be a great ally against blood sugar spikes. Number 13, black beans. After talking about walnuts, which surprise us with their benefits in small portions, it's time to bring up a food that, besides being nutritious, is complete and full of presence: black beans. Dr. Tanaka always says that legumes are true health powerhouses, and black beans stand out as one of the most powerful. Rich in soluble fiber, they have the potential to transform the way your body deals with glucose. The big secret of black beans lies in their fiber. They form a kind of gel in the intestine that slows down sugar absorption into the blood. This process is essential to avoid the dreaded glycemic spikes after meals. Instead of a sudden rise in glucose, the body receives energy gradually. This means more stability, less hunger, and greater control over metabolism. Besides fiber, black beans are an excellent source of plant-based proteins. These proteins help prolong satiety and balance the glycemic index of the meal as a whole. In other words, when beans are on the plate, the body responds more efficiently to insulin. That's why they are so recommended in dietary plans aimed at preventing type 2 diabetes. And there's more. Black beans are also rich in antioxidants such as flavonoids and anthocyanins, which protect cells against inflammatory damage. These compounds help reduce oxidative stress, one of the major culprits of metabolic dysfunction. And as we've already seen, less inflammation means more efficiency in insulin use. The benefit is systemic, deep, and consistent. Another amazing advantage is the iron and magnesium content of black beans. Iron helps produce energy, and magnesium acts directly on glycemic control, as we've already seen with pumpkin seeds. This mineral duo reinforces cell function and keeps metabolism more regulated. And all this in a cheap, accessible, and versatile food. You can include black beans in soups, salads, hot dishes, veggie burgers, and even spreads. It's possible to diversify your menu without giving up taste or benefits. The important thing to remember is that when preparing beans, it's ideal to soak them before cooking. This reduces anti-nutrients and improves digestion, as well as enhancing mineral absorption. Black beans also support gut health, thanks to their prebiotic fibers. And as we saw earlier, a healthy gut is directly linked to blood sugar control. By taking care of your microbiota, you strengthen immunity, improve nutrient absorption, and even fight systemic inflammation. It's a virtuous cycle that starts on the plate and ends with body balance. Every spoonful of black beans is like a boost of energy and health for your metabolism. And it's impressive how something so simple can have such a profound effect. But hold on, the journey isn't over yet. The next food on the list is creamy, nutritious, and often overlooked, even though it's one of the best allies for those who want to control blood sugar. Number 12, unsweetened natural yogurt. After exploring the surprising benefits of black beans, we now enter the world of fermented foods, and one of them deserves absolute highlight: unsweetened natural yogurt. Dr. Tanaka always emphasizes how probiotics can transform not only gut health, but also metabolism as a whole. And that's exactly what yogurt does. It nourishes the right gut, so the body works better. The big differential of natural yogurt lies in its probiotics, which are beneficial bacteria capable of balancing the gut flora. A balanced gut has a direct impact on insulin sensitivity. This means the body starts responding more efficiently to blood glucose levels, avoiding unnecessary spikes. It's an internal adjustment that begins in the microbiota and reflects throughout metabolism. But pay attention. It's essential that the yogurt be natural and without added sugar. Many industrialized versions with artificial flavor and color are full of hidden sugars that cancel out any benefit. The ideal is to go for that yogurt with just 2 ingredients, milk and live cultures. This simplicity is what ensures a truly functional product. Besides probiotics, yogurt is also an excellent source of protein. This combination of protein with a low carbohydrate content contributes to a balanced glycemic index, keeping you full for longer. This satiety helps prevent unnecessary snacking and better regulates appetite. Less uncontrolled hunger, more blood sugar control. Another important point is the calcium present in yogurt. This mineral plays an important role in hormonal signaling, including insulin function. Together with vitamin D, which can be combined in fortified yogurts or obtained through sun exposure, calcium further strengthens metabolic balance. It's a union of nutrients that works silently in favor of your health. And how about boosting your yogurt with other functional foods? Adding chia seeds, apple chunks, or even a pinch of cinnamon can further enhance its positive effects on blood sugar control. Not to mention that it makes the snack tastier, more nutritious, and interesting. A simple pot of yogurt can turn into a complete meal. On top of all this, natural yogurt helps reduce chronic inflammation. And it's already clear throughout this video that silent inflammation is a major villain of insulin resistance. A healthy gut, fueled with probiotics, strengthens the immune system and reduces inflammation. In other words, your body responds better and more intelligently to what you eat. Including unsweetened natural yogurt in your routine may seem like a small gesture, but the effects are cumulative and powerful. When combined with a balanced diet, it becomes a true ally against the highs and lows of blood sugar. And the next food on our journey is even more versatile and often shows up at the very first meals of the day. Get ready for a classic that you might never have looked at the right way. Number 11. Eggs. After understanding the power of natural yogurt, it's time to talk about a food as common as it is powerful, the egg. And look, Dr. Tanaka often says that few things are as complete as it. Rich in high-quality protein, the egg is a true natural stabilizer of blood sugar. And most interesting thing is that its positive impact goes far beyond satiety. The proteins in eggs help control blood sugar levels because they slow down digestion and decrease the speed at which carbohydrates are absorbed. This reduces the risk of glycemic spikes and keeps energy stable for longer. In other words, by including eggs at breakfast, you already start the day with a natural break on blood sugar highs and lows. Another strong point is that eggs contain choline, an essential nutrient for brain function and metabolism. Choline helps the liver process fats and collaborates with hormonal function, which also influences insulin sensitivity. It's as if eggs were an internal regulator, helping different body systems work in harmony. In addition, eggs are an excellent source of good fats, especially when consumed with the yolk. This healthy fat, combined with protein, prolongs satiety and reduces the urge to snack between meals. Fewer unnecessary snacks, less sugar intake throughout the day. A simple effect, but with great results in blood sugar control. And if you still have doubts about egg cholesterol, it's important to update that idea. Modern studies show that consuming whole eggs does not negatively affect cholesterol in most healthy people. On the contrary, it can even improve the lipid profile, especially when included in a balanced diet. It's further proof that eggs are unfairly feared by many. Practicality is also in favor of eggs. They can be boiled, scrambled, poached, fried with olive oil, or used in preparations like pancakes and omelets. They're easy to prepare, versatile, and fit well into any meal of the day. And with the right combination, like spinach, oats, or even chia seeds, they become a complete and functional meal for those seeking balance. It's worth remembering that eggs are also rich in B vitamins, essential for converting food into energy. These vitamins help the metabolism work more efficiently, which directly impacts the way the body handles glucose. It's a food that delivers much more than you'd expect at first glance. If you still don't include eggs frequently in your diet, maybe now is the time to reconsider. A simple, affordable, and powerful choice. And the next item on our list follows the same path, a famous fish, which shines not only for its taste, but also for its profound effects on metabolic health. Number 10. Salmon. Right after talking about eggs, it's impossible not to think of another protein source that is pure nutritional excellence: salmon. Dr. Tanaka often says that if the body could choose just one food to keep metabolic health on track, salmon would be at the top of the list. And that's no exaggeration. Rich in omega-3, it goes far beyond blood sugar control. It acts on the entire system that regulates metabolism. The big highlight of salmon is the presence of omega-3 fatty acids, which have powerful anti-inflammatory action. These acids help reduce insulin resistance, a common problem in people who struggle to control blood sugar. With less inflammation, the body responds better to insulin signals, making it easier to transport glucose into the cells. In addition, salmon is a high-quality protein that contributes to satiety and energy stability. When you have a protein-rich meal, like grilled salmon for lunch or dinner, the glycemic impact of that meal is reduced. This lowers the spikes and crashes in blood sugar and also helps control appetite throughout the day. Another essential factor is the vitamin D naturally present in salmon. This vitamin is fundamental for glucose regulation since it directly influences the function of the pancreas, the organ responsible for producing insulin. And since many people are deficient in vitamin D, eating salmon regularly can be a natural way to boost this nutrient and protect metabolism. Salmon also contains selenium, an antioxidant mineral that helps protect cells against oxidative stress. This type of stress harms insulin function and promotes the buildup of abdominal fat, which is highly dangerous for metabolic health. With selenium, the body gains an extra layer of protection against cellular wear and tear. You can prepare salmon in many ways: baked with herbs, grilled with vegetables, in cold salads, or even in more creative versions like homemade fish burgers. The important thing is to avoid breaded or fried versions, which cancel out part of the benefits. Go for natural seasonings and lighter cooking methods that preserve nutrients and enhance the flavor. And for those who think salmon is expensive or hard to find, it's worth remembering that other fatty fish options also offer similar benefits, such as sardines and mackerel. But when it comes to blood sugar control combined with flavor, practicality, and essential nutrients, salmon remains a star in the healthy menu. Including salmon in your routine is an investment in long-term health. It's the kind of food that nourishes, protects, and balances the body as a whole. And if you found it impressive what a fish can do for your blood sugar, wait until you see what's next: a simple, crunchy, water-rich vegetable that can work wonders for your metabolism. Number 9. Cucumber. After exploring the nutritional power of salmon, we now dive into a vegetable that, despite being simple, offers surprising benefits for blood sugar control: cucumber. Dr. Tanaka likes to remind us that when the body is well hydrated, everything works better, including insulin response. And cucumber, with more than 95% water in its composition, is a true natural hydrator in food form. This high water concentration makes cucumber excellent for maintaining cellular hydration and supporting the function of the kidneys and liver, two essential organs in regulating metabolism. When the body is hydrated, glucose circulates more smoothly and tissues become more sensitive to insulin's action. In other words, a well-hydrated body responds better to blood sugar. But cucumber is not just water. It also contains antioxidant and anti-inflammatory compounds such as flavonoids and lignans that help reduce silent inflammatory processes that affect metabolism. Less inflammation means more efficient insulin action, and this translates into less sugar buildup in the blood. Small adjustments that make a big difference. Another important point is its fiber content, especially in the skin. These fibers help slow down carbohydrate digestion and, with that, prevent blood sugar spikes. That's why, whenever possible, eat cucumber with the skin on, as long as it's well washed. It's a natural and light way to contribute to glycemic stability throughout the day. Cucumber is also very low in calories, making it ideal for snacks, salads, and as a side dish for any meal. It helps promote satiety without overloading the body with unnecessary sugars or fats. For those who want to control blood sugar and weight at the same time, cucumber is a great ally. You can use cucumber in many ways: in cold salads, raw slices with lemon and herbs, in flavored water, or even as a base for detox juices. Its lightness and crunch make it pleasant to the palate and easy to incorporate into daily life. And the best part, it pairs well with practically any other functional food. In addition, cucumber contains minerals such as potassium and magnesium, which help regulate blood pressure and balance body fluids. This is important because high blood pressure and electrolyte imbalance directly affect insulin's action. With cucumber, you help align several body functions naturally and continuously. It may seem like just a salad ingredient, but cucumber has much more value than it appears. It proves that sometimes what's missing for better health is not more complexity, but more consistency in simple choices. And speaking of impactful choices, the next vegetable in our journey is a healthy eating classic, green, leafy, and incredibly functional. Number 8. Spinach. After discovering cucumber's surprising potential, it's time to pay attention to a leafy green that carries a true natural pharmacy in every leaf: Spinach. Dr. Tanaka often says that spinach is one of the most complete vegetables when it comes to metabolic support. Rich in magnesium, antioxidants, and other essential nutrients, it acts as a silent regulator of blood sugar. The magnesium in spinach is fundamental for improving cells' sensitivity to insulin. This mineral helps transport glucose from the blood into the cells, where it will be used as an energy source. Many people with insulin resistance have low magnesium levels, which worsens the imbalance. With spinach in the diet, that scenario starts to change naturally. Besides magnesium, spinach is loaded with antioxidants such as lutein and alpha-lipoic acid. These compounds fight oxidative stress, which damages cells and promotes the development of metabolic diseases. By protecting the body from these silent aggressions, spinach helps keep the system more stable, reducing the risk of blood sugar spikes and persistent inflammation. Another positive point is that spinach is extremely low in calories and carbohydrates, yet packed with nutrients. This means it can be eaten in large quantities without raising blood sugar. It's ideal for creating balanced dishes, adding volume and satiety without compromising glucose levels. A smart choice for any meal of the day. And spinach's versatility is incredible. You can use it raw in salads, sautéed with garlic, blended into green smoothies, or incorporated into omelets, soups, and pancakes. It adapts well to different flavors and raises the nutritional value of any dish. And the best part, when combined with foods rich in healthy fats like olive oil or avocado, its nutrient absorption is boosted. It's also worth mentioning that spinach contains folic acid and iron, two important nutrients for cellular energy production. When the body is well nourished, it works more efficiently and with less effort, which directly supports blood sugar control. Less fatigue, more energy, and a more stable hormonal response, all starting with what we put on our plate. If you don't yet include spinach frequently in your diet, this is the time to give this amazing vegetable a chance. It's accessible, easy to prepare, and provides profound benefits that go far beyond blood sugar control. It's a daily investment in health that the body feels and thanks you for over time. Now that you understand the value of dark leafy greens, get ready for what's coming next. We'll talk about a special carbohydrate that, despite being sweet, helps keep blood sugar under control. A food that tricks the palate but strengthens metabolism in an impressive way. Number 7. Sweet potato. The conversation was already flowing when Dr. Tanaka turned to me and said with conviction, if there's one carbohydrate worth keeping in your diet, it's this one. He was referring to sweet potato, a food that, despite being a carb source, acts very differently in the body. And it's precisely this difference that makes it so special for those who want to keep blood sugar under control. Sweet potato has a low to moderate glycemic index, which means it releases glucose slowly and gradually into the bloodstream. This prevents the dreaded sugar spikes that wear down the body and lead to insulin resistance. Instead of a glycemic roller coaster, it offers a flat road, keeping energy levels stable for hours. Another strength of sweet potato is its high fiber content. These fibers help prolong the feeling of fullness, reducing the need for quick snacks or sweets between meals. They also support healthy bowel function, which, in turn, positively impacts blood sugar control and nutrient absorption. But doesn't stop there. Sweet potato is rich in antioxidants like carotenoids, which fight inflammation and help protect cells from oxidative stress. This is fundamental for those trying to prevent complications associated with diabetes, such as vascular damage and nerve impairment. It nourishes and protects at the same time. In daily life, sweet potato can be prepared in many ways: boiled, baked, grilled, mashed, or even in healthier pancakes and cakes. The secret is to avoid preparations that involve frying or excessive sugar. This way, you keep the full nutritional potential of this superfood intact. Eating sweet potato is like fueling the body with clean, steady, and functional energy. It's one of those foods that prove it's possible to eat well, enjoy food, and truly take care of your health. And speaking of health, the next item on our list is small but carries immense power when it comes to blood sugar. Balance. Number 6. Almonds. After exploring the benefits of sweet potato, Dr. Tanaka looked at me and said, "Now, let's talk about a food small in size, but giant in effects." He was talking about almonds, those crunchy seeds that many people eat as snacks, but that are actually true allies in blood sugar control. Almonds are rich in healthy fats, especially monounsaturated ones, which help improve insulin sensitivity. That means that by including these healthy fats in your diet, the body starts using glucose more efficiently, keeping blood sugar, levels more stable throughout the day. And all this without major dietary changes. Beyond fats, almonds provide good amounts of plant protein and fiber. This combination helps prolong satiety and prevents glucose from being absorbed too quickly. With that, they directly help prevent blood sugar spikes, which are so dangerous for metabolic and cardiovascular health. A small portion between meals can make a huge difference. Another important point, almonds have a low glycemic index and don't cause sharp rises in sugar levels. This makes them an excellent option for a functional snack, mid-morning, in the afternoon, or even as part of a bigger meal. And the best part, they help control hunger without harming metabolism. Almonds are also sources of vitamin E, magnesium, and antioxidants, which fight damage caused by free radicals and strengthen overall health. These nutrients help keep blood vessels healthy, regulate blood pressure, and protect pancreatic cells, essential for proper insulin production. Including almonds in your routine is simple. They can be eaten plain, added to yogurt, salads, granola, or even ground as a base for healthy recipes. The best choice is the unsalted, unsweetened, and unfried versions to make the most of all their benefits. And speaking of small foods with great impact, the next item on our list is tiny but extremely powerful. Number 5. Chia seeds. After the almonds, Dr. Tanaka pulled out a small, almost discreet jar and said, "Here is one of the most complete foods you can consume to control blood sugar." They were chia seeds, tiny yes, but with a metabolic power that impresses even specialists. And honestly, it's hard to believe that something so small can do so much. The great advantage of chia lies in the absurd amount of soluble fiber it carries. When they come into contact with liquids, these seeds form a gel that slows down digestion and, most importantly, the absorption of sugars. This means that glucose enters the blood slowly in a controlled way, without those spikes that throw the body's entire functioning off balance. In addition to fiber, chia is also a great source of plant-based protein, which helps increase satiety and reduce cravings for sugar-rich foods. This duo, fiber and protein, creates a feeling of fullness that greatly helps those trying to stabilize glucose levels and avoid the daily energy swings. But it doesn't stop there. Chia seeds are also rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which help reduce inflammation and improve insulin sensitivity. It's a complete package of benefits in every spoonful. And as if that weren't enough, they also provide calcium, magnesium, and antioxidants that strengthen the body as a whole. The best part is how easy it is to include chia in your diet. You can add it to smoothies, juices, yogurts, salads, or even make healthy puddings with it. Just mix it with some liquid and let it sit for a few minutes. The result is a nutrient-dense, practical, and functional food. With so many benefits, chia becomes a powerful ally for anyone looking to control glucose naturally and sustainably. A perfect example of how smart eating can transform health. And speaking of transformation, the next food is an ancient spice, but one that modern science recognizes as true metabolic gold. Number 4. Cinnamon. With a smile on his face, Dr. Tanaka approached a small bowl full of brown powder and told me, "This one is one of my favorites." A spice that seems simple, but has impressive effects on blood sugar control. It was cinnamon, a kitchen staple, but still undervalued for its true therapeutic potential. Cinnamon contains bioactive compounds such as polyphenol and cinnamaldehyde, which have a direct effect on improving insulin sensitivity. This means it helps cells absorb glucose more efficiently, reducing the amount of sugar circulating in the blood. It's as if it helps to unlock the metabolism, making everything work better. In addition, studies show that cinnamon can lower fasting blood sugar levels and also smooth out post-meal spikes. This action is especially useful for those seeking tighter glucose control throughout the day, without relying exclusively on medication. Of course, always with professional monitoring, but food is an indispensable ally. Another strong point of cinnamon is its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effect. It helps fight oxidative stress, which damages cells and is behind many metabolic imbalances. By protecting the body from this overload, cinnamon contributes to a healthier environment where insulin can act more effectively. And how to include this powerful spice in your daily life? It's easy. Cinnamon goes well with fruits, yogurts, teas, smoothies, and even with more creative savory dishes. Just a pinch a day is enough to reap the benefits. But pay attention. Always use true cinnamon, Ceylon type, if possible, and avoid excess, as very high doses can also cause discomfort. Including cinnamon in your routine is a small gesture with a huge impact. It's yet another example of how simple, natural choices can transform metabolic health. And speaking of transformation, the next food plays an essential role in all this, a legume that helps sugar enter the blood at just the right pace. Shall we find out? Number 3. Lentils. After talking about cinnamon, Dr. Tanaka turned to me and said, now it's time for food that sustains, nourishes, and still helps keep blood sugar under control like few others. He was referring to lentils, a legume often forgotten, but that deserves a prominent place in any diet focused on metabolic health. The big difference with lentils is their powerful combination of fiber and protein. Fiber helps slow down the absorption of carbohydrates, causing glucose to be released slowly into the bloodstream. This prevents sugar spikes that overload the pancreas and increase insulin resistance. Meanwhile, plant proteins promote satiety and help keep appetite in check. In addition, lentils are rich in iron, magnesium, and zinc, minerals that play important roles in regulating glucose metabolism. Magnesium, for example, acts directly on insulin sensitivity, while zinc assists in the proper functioning of the pancreas beta cells responsible for producing this vital hormone. Another strong point of lentils is their low glycemic index. Even though they're a carbohydrate source, they are digested so slowly that they don't cause abrupt changes in blood sugar. That's why they're an excellent alternative to replace more refined grains or high glycemic foods in main meals without losing flavor or nutritional value. And the best part, they're incredibly versatile. They go well in soups, salads, stews, veggie burgers, and even as a base for healthy fillings. They cook quickly, pair with many seasonings, and still bring that comforting feeling to the plate, and to the body too, with more energy and stability throughout the day, including lentils in. Your diet is a practical and tasty way to take care of blood sugar without giving up a rich and varied diet. They show, once again, that health doesn't lie in expensive or exotic foods, but in conscious choices. And since we're talking about accessible and functional foods, the next ingredient on the list will surprise you with what it carries in every floret. Number 2, broccoli. When Dr. Tanaka mentioned the next food, I confess I was already expecting something powerful, but I was still surprised by everything he revealed about broccoli. This common vegetable, often left on the side of the plate, carries a compound called sulforaphane that has direct effects on blood sugar control and insulin sensitivity. It's practically a medicinal vegetable in disguise. Sulforaphane is a powerful antioxidant that helps reduce inflammation and improve the ability of cells to respond to insulin. This means the body begins to use glucose more efficiently without letting it accumulate in the blood. It's a natural, silent process, but extremely effective for anyone seeking metabolic balance in a sustainable way. But the benefits of broccoli don't stop there. It's also rich in fiber, which helps slow digestion and release glucose gradually. This reduces the chance of blood sugar spikes right after meals, protecting the pancreas and keeping sugar levels in check. In addition, fiber feeds the good gut bacteria, which also play a role in glucose regulation. Broccoli also offers good amounts of vitamin C, calcium, potassium, and folate, nutrients that strengthen the immune system, the heart, and metabolism as a whole. This is essential, especially in cases of insulin resistance or prediabetes, when the body needs extra support to regain balance. You can consume broccoli in several ways: steamed, sautéed, roasted, in soups, or as a side to main dishes. The ideal way is to cook it lightly to preserve as many nutrients and bioactive compounds as possible. Just one portion a day can make a big difference in your eating routine. With all this, it's clear that broccoli is not just any vegetable. It is a strategic ally in the prevention and control of blood sugar imbalances. And if you found impressive what this vegetable can do, wait until you discover what's in store for the last chapter. A creamy, nutritious, and incredibly effective food. Number 1, avocado. Wrapping up our conversation, Dr. Tanaka smiled and said, "Now, let's talk about a food that should be treated as green gold for anyone who wants to control blood sugar." He was talking about avocado, creamy, versatile, and full of good fats that work wonders for metabolism. A true nutritional treasure that many people still underestimate. Avocado is extremely rich in monounsaturated fatty acids, which help reduce insulin resistance and keep blood sugar levels more stable. These good fats don't cause blood sugar spikes and, at the same time, prolong satiety. This means less hunger throughout the day and less desire to reach for sugar-rich or simple carbohydrate snacks. In addition to fats, avocado is also an excellent source of soluble fiber. These fibers slow down digestion and help release glucose gradually, preventing dangerous fluctuations in sugar levels. This effect is essential both for prevention and for managing type 2 diabetes, making avocado an indispensable ally in daily nutrition. Another highlight of avocado is the presence of antioxidants such as lutein and zeaxanthin, which protect the body's cells against oxidative stress and inflammation. This strengthens not only the metabolic system, but also cardiovascular and brain health, areas directly affected by blood sugar imbalances. Avocado is extremely versatile. It can be eaten plain, with lemon, in salads, smoothies, spreads, or even as a base for healthy desserts. The key is to avoid combinations with sugar or processed products and to enjoy the natural richness of this food in its purest, most nutritious form. Including avocado in your diet is one of those decisions that delivers benefits on multiple fronts. It nourishes, protects, and regulates, all at the same time. And after everything we've seen so far, it's clear that choosing the right foods can transform health from the inside out. And it all starts with what we put on our plates every single day. And if you want to keep receiving the best videos for your health, subscribe to the channel, because it exists for only one reason: to make you a healthier person with more quality of life. Helping you is my mission. In the video that appears now on your screen, I reveal the plant you should eat every day to live up to 100 years. Click on the screen and check it out.